back again, here with my assistant Scotty Klein. We're going to go over truck 4. This is a pretty easy grass fire truck to work, but there's a couple things you want to learn to make sure you know how to use them. First, we're going to go over working this Honda motor. We're going to go over how to get water into your lines. We're going to go over how to prime the pump, okay? Very simple steps, but if you've never done it, it may be a little new to you. Like a lot of our motors here, pretty simple. Here's your choke, make sure that's on the first time you're starting it. Your fuel all the way to the right. So the choke is all the way to the left, fuel is to the right. Got your visuals right here. Here's how you start the motor. Click it to on, and then you have a start switch. This is your throttle. Shut down the choke. And now if you have to shut down the motor and turn it back on, you probably won't need to open the throttle again. But if on first start you go to the on position and your starter's not working, you have your manual crank here. Double check to make sure it's on, or you're just going to be pulling for nothing. Now we're on this side of the truck, and we're going to go over getting your water to your pump so you can get it into the hose lines, okay? This valve here, pull it in line, this is your tank to pump. This drops your water in. Okay? Right here, this is your tank fill circulating valve. You only need about a quarter turn on that. Open, just enough to get some water flowing. Remember, you have 200 gallons on this, so it's not a ton of water. You don't need to crack this wide open. Okay? This top one here is your discharge. It's for 1-inch hose. Here's your discharge for the top here. That's 1.5-inch hose. And then we'll go over some of the spare equipment and ways to maneuver 2 lines in place, okay? The one thing that you might not see is the way to prime your pump. Just a manual pump here. Pull it out. Got it in the air. Pull it until you get water. Key here is this is always closed. So you gotta open this valve here to get it in line, and then prime your pump. Pump it till you got water. This is how you fill here. This is 2-inch piping, so we have an adapter. 2-inch to 1.5-inch adapter. Here's your wrenches that come with the truck. They live on the truck. Usual wrench, we haven't really seen these, but that's just, you need to tighten or loosen any connections, okay? Now the key here is if you need to fill up and you need to connect to a hydrant or connect to engine 4 or a different truck, is you need your 1.5 to 2.5-inch adapter. Once you make this connection here, you're ready to fill the tank back up, okay? Now you can hit off of another truck, or you can go directly to a hydrant, okay? And we'll show you how to do that later on. So one thing to keep in mind is you will never fight a grass fire or any brush fire on or in the water. So the dive team is kind of obsolete here, which we found is a lot of the times. Let's get into some operations.
Especially for nighttime ops. On your control panel, we have a light.
On our hose reel, we have 1-inch hose. There's 200 foot on this reel. On our flat load is 1.5 inches. There's 200 foot on this. You have an additional section, so you have 300 foot, okay? For the hose reel, we also have an additional 200 foot of 1-inch hose that we'll show you how to tie in once we get it off the truck. So now we're gonna pull the line. It just pulls off easy. When we go back to load it, you'll see, if you remember that key piece of equipment, the light switch, the reel rewind is right next to that. hose is all out of the flat load, and this going up to the front of the truck, whoever's operating it, this has got to come out the back here and make sure this isn't going to kink off. Because not only you don't want to deal with the kink, but this pump doesn't have the fire capacity in order to just straighten itself out. You'll see these are the two nozzles that we have at the end of each hose line. Okay, they're both 1-inch nozzles. The difference between this one and this one though is this you could shut down and extend the line. That's what those two sections of 100-foot 1-inch line is. But remember, whoever is working the bail is going to have to come back and open it whenever you extend it down. This is just a straight stream, but will go into a fall. Okay? So if you need to cover an area. Keep in mind, and we'll say it a few times during the video, until you have water, you only have 200 gallons on there. So be very conscious of when you're using water. You want to knock a spot down, and then you use your tools to spread it out, make sure it's clear. The other thing is, if you're fighting a large area, like we did south of Walsh, it was 11 acres. You got to be very, very careful where you're dragging your hose through, because it's easy for the fire to split or a spot to smolder and then get hot again. So just be careful with the equipment. Now you'll notice, I don't know if you can hear the truck in the background, but when you're not flowing water, unless it's just on and off, short spurts of shutting the hose down, whoever's working the truck, you don't want to overwork that motor. So you want to throttle down to a minimum. When it's time to start flowing water again, fire it back up. That's what Lieutenant Klein did back there. Once we shut down, he throttled down so we don't overwork the pump. All right, now we got water down here. Clean it off. Okay. Like I said, make sure you're very conscious of your water use, okay? So same thing here. Straight to a fall, okay? This is where you can shut down. You need to extend the line, shut it down, take the nozzle off, extend where you need to go. As you can see, if you want to deploy it with speed, you want me there. If you want to take your time, you may want others. Cut that out. All right, so we've decided that we need to extend our reach. So we've shut down the bail. We're gonna add one of our 100-foot sections in. Scotty's gonna take it to wherever we need, and then when he signals back to me, I'm gonna open it up. And at this time, whoever's working the truck, we'd signal to throttle back up so we get up the max pressure we can use. Now you can see here, when you're doing an extended operation, the officer's gonna come up. You're not necessarily gonna back up the guy on the line, okay? You don't really need help with this line. However, you're gonna serve more as a spotter. We're gonna watch where we're dragging our hose. We're gonna watch that we're not getting any fire behind us, okay? So remember, if you're this officer, you're more of a spotter than backing up on the line. Now we're gonna go over one other adapter that's in place on this 1.5-inch hose. You'll see these adapters in here. There's 2 of them in the 200 feet. And what that is if you disconnect this, okay, so if you see the back side of this is how you open this up. You can hook in more 1-inch hose into here if you needed to split the line. Yeah, you just turn this to unscrew it to open this up. Okay, once you have a line in place. And you'll unwind it and that'll open that valve up. You would use this to tee another line. So if you have an area that kind of splits and you have what they call the fingers moving out, you can always attack more than one area at a time. Once again, 200 gallons. I said I'd mentioned it a few times. Be conscious how much water you're using to get a water supply. Now, like any other operation, you probably don't want to tee a line off and open a secondary line until you get that water supply. So if you're the operator, start thinking water real quick. And that's why anytime you deploy this truck, one driver should take the grass fire truck, the other two should come in engine 4. That way you're bringing your water with you. You have 200 gallons on here, 1,400 on engine 4. So wherever you're showing up, you got 1,200 on engine 4. You have 1,400 gallons to work with until you can find a supply. So these are the various tools and hoses and adapters and everything you have on the truck. These sit in the bed on both sides of the truck. All right. You have a Halligan in case you need to force entry, I guess, on a grass fire. Shovel, a couple pitchforks, a couple brooms, various rakes, and a Pulaski axe, wood handle. You have your 2 sections of 1-inch hose, or 100 foot apiece. You saw we already put one in the end of the line. 2 sections of 2.5-inch hose. Once again, that's either connect to another truck or connect to a hydrant using the adapter we showed you earlier. You have your gate valve. You have a hydrant wrench. Now, key when you're using any of these tools is to keep the tool moving. If you don't keep the tool moving, it's going to catch on fire. If it catches on fire, you're not doing the work you're supposed to be doing. Proper brooming technique, as shown here. Okay, now what Scotty's doing is to show you how we would hook to a hydrant. Don't forget, you got your 2.5-inch. Go to the hydrant. Recommend throwing the gate valve on. That way, like we said earlier, if you need to use the hydrant for anything else, you've got access and you. As he's making these adapters connected like we talked earlier, remember, once you are going to try to run off either hydrant water or supply to fill your tank, this is one pipe from tank to pump and then to fill. And when you're ready for your water supply, you're going to have to temporarily shut your tank to pump down, or water is going to keep pumping out as you connect to your hydrant or to your truck. So bring the throttle all the way down, shut your tank to pump, make your connection, and then you can run off tank water and fill your tank just by cracking open that recirculating fill valve. So now you can fill your tank just from here if your operation is done, or if you're still going, we'll fire the motor up and show you could still flow water, shut your tank to pump, and still fill the tank.